Hello everyone, welcome to today's session where we're going to look at the topic literary terms. The terms are soliloquy, aside, climax, catastrophe, myth, and fable. Let's begin with soliloquy. Soliloquy is a speech in a drama or play that a character makes to him or herself. If we see the origin of this word soliloquy, then it comes from the Latin word soliloquium, where solo stands for to oneself and locker means I talk. So in this way the combined meaning is I talk to myself. And in a play or drama, when a character delivers this soliloquy or he speaks to him or herself, then the other characters on stage are not supposed to hear this, whereas the audience hear this or it is heard by the audience. In this way soliloquy is presented to the audience so that they can understand the deep rooted thoughts or inner feelings or emotions of the character. Next is aside. Aside is a short comment or speech that a character delivers directly to the audience or to himself, and the other characters on stage are they appear but they don't hear it. So in this way this is aside, and in aside the audience come to know what the character has said to them. It is only known to audience, and it is easy to confuse between soliloquy and aside because both are dramatic devices and they have their similarities and differences. The similarity is that in both of them there is a single character who speaks to himself or to the audience, and this speech is not heard by any other character on stage. This is their similarity, but the difference we can find is that aside is a shorter comment, whereas soliloquy is a longer speech. And one more difference which we can figure out is that through aside a character reveals hidden secrets or judgments in a play or drama, whereas in soliloquy a character reveals his or her motives, inner feelings or internal struggles which are going on in his mind. So this is the difference which we can take or which we can find between aside and soliloquy. The third one is climax. Climax is a turning point from which there is no going back. And if we see the origin, or we can say this word climax originates from the Greek word climax, which means a staircase or a ladder. Now in the context of this etymology, a staircase or ladder, we can see this diagram. This diagram is known as Freytag's pyramid, which is named after the German writer Gustav Freytag. Now if we see in the reference to ladder or upstairs this diagram, then we can say, we can sense that the climax resounds the upward movement of the actions in the plot. For your better understanding, if I say that in every piece of literature, whether it is novel, drama or a story, there is always a conflict, and this conflict or tension builds up from the exposition, or from the beginning this conflict starts building up in every drama or play or in every piece of literature, and the climax marks the point when this conflict is at its apex. In other words, conflict or climax is the point of highest tension in a narrative. So in this way this is climax. And what climax does? Climax increases audiences or readers' inquisitiveness about protagonist's struggle or his or her final destiny. So this is what climax is. Next is catastrophe. Catastrophe is the final event of the dramatic action, or we can say it is the conclusive action of any play or drama, which is a consummation of the plot or a resolution in the plot. The main objective of the catastrophe is to unfold or unravel the plot. For instance, in a tragedy, catastrophe could be the death of the protagonist or the other characters, and in comedy, catastrophe could be the union of the major characters. Then the next one is myth. Myth or myths are traditional stories that are created within culture in order to offer explanations to or explanations for cosmic or natural events. For example, in Greek mythology, this myth of nymph or this myth of nymph Echo explains the origin of sound. And now let's have a look on the common features of myth. Myths include gods and goddesses, and these figures often have supernatural powers. And myths also explain many phenomena. And these myths used to have a great importance in ancient history because it was the time when scientific discoveries were not or had not yet been made, and that's why myths offered comfort and explanation for the events which people sought to understand. And then morals. Myths usually teach morals to their audience, and it is also important to study myths because nowadays modern writers or in earlier writings also modern or in the writings especially in the western writers, they refer to myths. Myths especially which are originated from Greek and Roman mythology. So in order to understand the writings of the writers, we need to understand these myths. There lies the importance of myths. So after this discussion, we can see this working definition of myth now in literature. We can state myths are stories that often have religious origins, that provide explanations for natural phenomena, offer moral insight, and include supernatural beings. Next is fable. Fable is a brief tale told to teach a moral, and this word fable has its roots in this Latin word fibula, which means a story. And fable mostly have characters who are animals, but sometimes people and other inanimate objects are also used to demonstrate the moral lesson. Fables are actually witty and humorous stories which are written to highlight the follies of humans. And Aesop, the Greek writer of 600 BC, is the most famous fabulist, and Panchatantra by Pandit Vishnu Sharma is a popular collection of Indian fables. Along with this, George Orwell's Animal Farm, Jonathan Swift's Gulliver Travels, and Battle of Books also contains many excerpts of fables which satirize various social and political issues. And now fables are often confused with parables. Parables are also short narrative which illustrates lessons, but the difference lies in the fact that fable employs animals, plants, inanimate objects, or forces of nature as characters, whereas parable has human characters. So that's all for today. These are the literary terms. I hope you have understood them well, and I look forward to see you in the next session. Thank you for listening.